So you tell me, what would you do if this happened to you? Hello and welcome. For those new to my channel, welcome. For those returning, welcome back. This is stage 3 of the Flamme Rouge Racing, and what you're about to see happen to me is enough to make a preacher cuss. Because boy, oh boy, was I absolutely upset. Um, So as you can see, getting off to a normal Zwift start, 400 out the gate, and then cooling down to about mid 200s, low 200s, and we've got a couple people that are starting to slowly pull away. You'll see them in just a little bit. See the person in red right there just starts slowly pulling away, and ultimately it leads to a small group of 3 people that end up breaking away off of this group. But if you keep an eye on them, you'll see that, like any normal race, the breakaway just doesn't last. And that's ultimately because the group is always stronger than the individuals. And if you're going to do a breakaway, you really got to have a good, solid working group. Um, it's a little bit hard to see, but they're ultimately holding about 300 watts just to stay away from the group. And they really only end up, you know, maxing out at like just under 20 seconds. And so I'll basically add a overlay so you can zoom into that one part. But, you know, here we are just kind of cruising through the desert. And, that's really how this next few minutes goes is, nothing's going on. People are chatting, giving, ride-ons, making it rain. And, a couple of familiar names in the group. So, again, people are just chatting back and forth. And I've got to say that, I kind of felt the bug to want to join that breakaway. I'm glad I didn't because it really took a lot for me to kind of hold back. Um, so this race, we have an assigned bike, which is the Zwift Carbon um, bike, I believe, whichever the aero lightweight, you know, kind of best bike for the Zwift bikes. It's three stars weight, 3 stars um, for aero. So it's a decent bike. Nothing great, nothing fantastic. But I am on the NB78 wheels because I feel like holding holding the draft inside the group is going to be just as efficient with the disc wheels as it is with the NB78s. And so I looked at it as an opportunity to kind of see if staying in the group would save me enough energy to then perform better on the climbs. And this course, the out and back, we have the Volcano KOM, and then just after that we have the Zwift KOM reverse, I believe, the longer version of the Zwift KOM. And so I wanted to make sure that I have enough left in me to perform good on those climbs. One thing I've noticed, so I did FRR a few months back in October, November timeframe, and I used the disc wheels essentially the whole time. And, I was happy for it because I felt like I did good. You see a lot of people on the back there. A lot of people have the disc wheels, and it does work. If you've got the strength to use that on a climb, then it does work. And so the last time I went up the volcano, it was actually on a TTT, and I did really good. I broke my PR, which was ended up being about a little over 9 minutes. With the At that time, I was using what bike was it? Um, the Felt tri bike, and obviously the disc wheels. And so, I did it in about 9 minutes, and I looked at my time and thought, I know I could do it in around 9 minutes if I use the disc wheels, But again, I wanted to use the 7/8 to see how I would perform. I feel like it did help me on some of these lower percentage climbs where I didn't have to work as hard to keep up with the group and stay with them. Again, if you look at my numbers, we're kind of holding it in the mid to low 200s, kind of pushing into the upper. I'm pushing into the mid 300s and, upper two, or sorry, mid 200s and upper 200s, which really, I kind of, I was doing it, but at the same time, I was thinking I'm probably wasting watts here because it's not really benefiting me. And so as we get up the backside of the Italian villa, I'm mentally preparing myself for the sprint as this rainstorm just literally came out of nowhere. As we made that turn into the Italian villas, it just went from blue skies to rain and thunder and just nastiness. So as we start to get into the sprint here, I switch gears and I put the power down. I max out at just under 1100 watts, which is not my max. My max so far has been 1111, which I'm very excited about. And as I'm starting to get up to the front group here, I see the first three riders. I see this message pop up, and at first I thought it was my sweat hitting the end game or exit game uh, button, but it actually wasn't. It was my trainer disconnected completely. The Bluetooth just blanked out, and that has never happened to me. So I was completely bewildered, and I truly, truly, truly do feel like that cost me the green jersey, or at least, probably not the green jersey, but probably fourth place, um, at least fourth across the line for sure, because I definitely would have caught that front group, the front three guys, caught up to them if uh, had I have not lost connection. I was holding the upper 800s, low 900s, so I know for a fact I would have caught them. Just quickly gonna say hi to Eric as I pass him here. Great YouTuber. Check out his channel. I will leave a little banner for it so you can see how his race went. He absolutely killed that sprint. I mean, just total masterclass on power and acceleration. Um, so definitely go check out his channel. And so as we get into the volcano here, he and I are kind of, you know, I'm working. I'm looking at how I performed going up the Alp and, mentally kept thinking about, I know I can hold that for an hour. I know I can hold, mid 200s for an hour if I just put in the work. And so that's kind of my plan here as I go get into the Volcano KOM. I know I can push a little bit harder than 200, so I'm, climbing pretty strong here in the mid 300s and kind of staying in there, trying to stay into the 300s as I, get up this hard part out of the saddle. And as I get closer to the top, I start to feel the burn in my legs. And I know that, I'm not going to be able to sustain that the entire way. So I just, I start to back down a little bit. But again, my focus is I did good on the Zwift, on the Alpe du Zwift. So I know I can hold mid 200s at a minimum on this climb, pushing into the 300s. I do ease off on the downhill or flat parts just to kind of rest up a bit because it's one thing doing the Alpe du Zwift where that's all you're doing, the 7 8 kilometers, whatever it is, to get up to the top of the Alp, versus right now I'm 24 kilometers in on a race that the power has been all over the place, very dynamic. And so past another rider here as I'm getting up to the top and just keeping an eye on my watts and making sure that I stay as close to, 300s as possible as I, ride into the harder sections. And then, in the easier sections, trying to stay into the mid 200s because I know that I can hold that with no issues. And so getting closer to the top here, I'm starting to wonder, whether or not I'm going to get a PR getting up the volcano climb, which I felt like with the NB 7/8s, I feel like I should have gotten a PR. And that's kind of where I'm at here. I'm pushing, super hard in the mid 400s. They're getting up that last little leg snapper of the volcano KOM. And as I crossed the line, I realized I didn't actually get a PR. And so just fast forwarding here, because at this point it is basically an ITT as far as I can take it. One thing about these wheels is that they don't perform as well on the downhill. So I have to, continuously power and spin the legs through the downhill. I don't have to put a lot of power, but just enough to keep my momentum going and not lose speed. Because if I don't, if I stop pedaling, I will actually lose speed on the downhill, which is kind of frustrating because I feel like at 83 kilograms, I should be heavy enough to continue to um, keep my momentum on the downhill, but that didn't happen. So getting back up the backside of the Italian villas, getting ready to go into the Zwift KOM. I know I can power through these last little hills, and I'm keeping an eye on the group in front of me and the person behind me. Which I gotta say, the person behind me, I feel like I have no clue where they came from. One minute I'm looking at them and they're 30 plus seconds behind. And then next thing I know, they're 5 seconds behind and passing me with no issues. And so, while I normally wouldn't call someone out for cheating, especially in a situation like this where, we're at the, you know, kind of mid pack or back of the mid pack, so there's no real, stakes here. But at the end of the day, I feel like, man, that person caught up a lot faster than I anticipated. So you can see on the top of my screen, my Zwift keeps disconnecting. Something, I don't know if it was my internet, I don't know what was happening, but my Zwift kept showing disconnected and then a reconnect and then disconnect. And at this point, I was not only worried that I'd get booted out of the race, but also frustrated because this has never happened to me before. And so as we go up the bridge here, or as Holly may call it, the bridge of despair, because it really is, even though it's 1%, it's a long, draggy 1% that really sucks the energy out of you, and it kind of makes you waste your watts. And so I end up pushing in front of this person because I looked at it as, hey, if I can put on the work here in these, last 2 kilometers, if I can put out a good bit of work, then I'll let him get in front, with a kilometer, kilometer and a half to go. And then, I'll rest up a little bit and then power through the sprint to take him on the line. Because again, this is a race. That's race tactics. You can't always work together. Sometimes you gotta, let the other person do the work. And I started realizing that this person just didn't have the power to keep going. So I started motoring on and just quickly left him behind. And you can't really see the numbers there, but if you look at the right hand side on the menu, little by little the gap just started opening up, and he went from, essentially from a few seconds to, 40 plus seconds back. I did a quick sprint here at the end, but realized, what, it wasn't worth it. My legs were hurting. Might as well, the person's not catching up, so let me just spin through to the end. So I came across the line at 37th place, which I gotta say, I really was not happy about that because, again, I'm, just under 3.5 minutes behind the person who won. And congrats to Crayon Eater for winning this stage. He did an incredible job getting up the Volcano KOM in just over 8 minutes. So I know that had I've stayed with the sprint, I could have probably stayed with the main group the through the hills and ultimately started the climb with them. I would not have been able to keep up with him on the climb because again, he got up the climb almost actually like over a minute faster than I did. So I would have definitely fell off there. But I think I could have, on the downhill and then on that stretch, maybe, if we had a good group going, maybe could have, would have, should have. But at the end of the day, it didn't happen. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.